This is the story of how Jimmy Butler went from being homeless to becoming an NBA All-Star. 13-year-old Jimmy Butler was kicked out of the house by his own mother. His father had already left him when he was just a baby, and now he had no home at all. He would spend the next few years jumping from house to house for days and weeks at a time, living the life of a homeless man. No teen should have to go through that. How would he go to college? How would he have a successful future without the support from anyone? He went to basketball, the only thing he could do without being picked on or kicked out of. As a junior in high school, Butler was only averaging 10 points per game, and no one was recruiting him. Basketball gave Jimmy his first blessing, needed to continue his life. A ninth grader who liked how Jimmy Butler played had called him out to the shooting contest. Jimmy played him, and the two became close friends with each other. He began spending more and more time with him, and eventually spending most of his time at that friend's house, as he had nowhere else to stay. Michelle Lambert, his friend's mom, eventually figured out Jimmy's situation and decided to help. Michelle allowed Jimmy to live with them in their home, and Jimmy's life turned around.
So I started off playing football, but I stopped whenever I was like in 6th, 7th grade. So I was always a big football fan. You know, being from Texas, baseball's big. I think basketball made me third. But then I wasn't a fan of the sun, wasn't a fan of the heat. Plus, I was tiny. I was like 5'3". Everybody else started growing. I was like, I don't want to get crushed. I'm gonna move inside to the AC, shoot at the orange rim. And that's when like the love of basketball came along.
I mean, you kind of get the gist of it, and I mean, I was always like, man, you can stay tonight. My mom won't care, and then I'd just be like, oh, just one more night, and it just kind of developed into a week and then a month.
He hid from us. He stayed upstairs and wouldn't come downstairs and send Jordan down to get him food. So I guess he thought if he wasn't seen, no one would know he was there.
I felt like if nobody knew I was there, they couldn't get tired of me.
You know, people say you just take a child you don't even know, and you know, and people think different things and say different things, and not to say that someone didn't come to me and say, oh, don't let him in. He's supposedly he's done this. You've got to go with your gut. He's brought more to us than ever we could bring to him.
That's them. That's family. That's what that is. And you know, people say, "Oh, that's not blood." Well, I feel like family is who you love. You know, who you always want to be around. Who's there for you with your holidays? Who's there for your first game, for your first start? You know, things like that. And if you were to ask me those questions, they were always there. And I have nothing against anybody else, but I know whenever you ask me my family, you'll get those names, you'll get those people.
Ever since he started staying in an actual home, his game and schoolwork became better. In Jimmy's senior year of high school, he was named captain of the team while averaging 19 points per game and almost 9 rebounds a game. Jimmy went on to attend a junior college as he had no offers to play D1 basketball. He wasn't noticed by anyone until a Marquette recruiter was scouting someone else and noticed that Jimmy Butler was grinding and working harder than anyone else on the court. After this, Jimmy Butler was offered a scholarship to Marquette. As a sophomore, he would only average 5 points per game and 3 rebounds. He didn't even start in college. His coach at Marquette, Buzz Williams, pushed Jimmy harder than any other player because he knew there was something special about him.
He watched me play. The very first thing he said to me was, "Jimmy, you suck." I was like, "Oh, I don't even know you. Like, I don't, you know, like I'm a kid." I'm just like, that's cool.
The coach was so rough that the Marquette basketball team rode a battered yellow school bus without air conditioning to a campground in Wisconsin. There was no cell phone service, no television or high-end meals, just hours and hours of workouts and conditioning drills. It was a boot camp, head coach Buzz Williams said. It wasn't supposed to be easy at all. Buzz was tough, and these are just the things that the players had to go through to get better.
that he would potentially end up being the difference maker, which is why he wanted to go home, because I was extremely difficult in coaching him, because I thought that he could evolve into being a guy towards the end of the year that could help us.
Like I was always like, I want to come home. I want to transfer. Like, because he was so hard on me. Like, I was so far away from home.
As a senior, Jimmy Butler averaged around 16 points per game and 6 rebounds. And through the past 2 years, he had finally been able to start in college. Jimmy did not have an agent or anyone to mentor him through the next few months on his life after college. But eventually, he found someone to be his agent. And in the 2011 NBA draft, the kid who was homeless, not recruited by a single team out of high school, was selected by the Chicago Bulls as the 30th pick in the draft. As a rookie, Jimmy Butler was not ready for the professional league. He wasn't very good as a rookie, but the memories of his past life drove him to work harder and harder every day to become the best player that he could be.
Can't say enough about how he made the team function well, and everything he did was move towards winning. It says a lot. It's also who he is. You know, he just wants to win.
I feel like we always talk about it with my teammates, with my coaches, that the more reps that you get, that's the more confidence you gain.
One of the two, there's the... Stop it! Jimmy Butler goes upstairs!
Your chance is going to come.
In Jimmy's next year, Butler was named as an NBA All-Star, even though he was homeless and not recruited by anyone, as well as being the 30th pick in the NBA draft. He was the first Chicago Bull to be named the Most Improved and Player of the Year award and be an All-Star. He only grew from this season. He went on to sign a max contract with the Chicago Bulls worth $95 million.
The bond that we have, it's one of a kind. Like, everybody wants to be around each other. You know, we see each other so much every day on the court that you think when we have a chance to be away from each other, you want to get away from each other, but that's not the case. Everybody has, you know, their families to attend to, but I feel like when we do have the chance, we all want to do something together, even if that's go to a movie or go get dinner or just hang out in somebody's room on the road. I feel like that's a big part of team success because we know each other not only on the court but off the court, and we know when, you know, somebody's down or when somebody's really happy. Like, I think that's a big part of being more than just a basketball player, but being a great person, great teammate, and just knowing your guys well.
You know, the organization is amazing. The players are amazing. Where you see, you know, you see some teams that have different players and they kind of get in trouble, and you know, you just don't see this from this team. And this coach, you just don't, you know, he doesn't put up with that. So, you know, that makes you feel good.
Jimmy Butler was finally in a groove and really started to play well. He was breaking defenses with ease and playing the best defense of his life. In 2017, he was averaging 25.6 points per game and 6.7 rebounds per game, and he was having the best season of his career.
Let's take it back to the beginning, back to when a high school freshman approached Jimmy Butler and changed his life forever. Back to when Jimmy Butler was living on the streets and doing whatever he could just to find a home. And now, he has made his dreams come true, just from this one moment that allowed him to become what he is now.
This freshman was just another athlete with big dreams. This kid was named Jordan Leslie. He made it out of Tombo just like Jimmy Butler and became a college football player for BYU.
He was signed by the Minnesota Vikings after going undrafted in the NFL draft. He is now a wide receiver for the Salt Lake Stallions of the AFL. Jimmy Butler's life is just like a movie, defying all odds and becoming something out of nothing.
Like, I instantly burst out into tears with my mom because I just felt like all the hard work that I've done, like all the people that tell me that I wouldn't amount to anything, that I couldn't be an NBA player, that I wouldn't get my degree, I wouldn't go to college, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. But more than anything, it was, I proved myself right. I could care less about proving them wrong. I wanted to prove to myself that if I said I could do it, I put my mind to it, and I did it.